Hello, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you're watching us live or watching the replay, thank you very much. We appreciate your interest. This is Tech Tuesdays, a joint effort with South Florida Tech Hub and the Owwll App. So again, thanks for joining. I'm your lovely host for today, Jeffry Ullman. I'm Director of Membership. You're allowed to laugh, by the way. I'm Director of Membership and Partner Engagement at South Florida Tech Hub. Thank you if you're watching live. We appreciate it, or the replay. If you'd like to call in and ask a question, and we'd encourage you to do so, you'll need to do so with the Owwll App. If you already have the Owwll App, call me, Jeffry Ullman, Ullman. If you don't have the Owwll App, you have time to download it today and install it. The app itself is free. And if you install it and use a referral code of Tech Hub, all caps, 2 H's, no spaces, TECHHUB, you'll get $10 to start. So I'm excited to be here today. Couple of quick announcements for Tech Hub. If you're currently in college and about to graduate, or have graduated, or in career transition and looking for a new role, we've got one of our major events next week, Tech Talent Fest. It's going to be at FIU, Florida International University in Miami. It'll be Wednesday, October 16th. And I'm happy to let you know our keynote speaker is going to be the author of this book, LinkedIn Profile for Dummies. I think we could all use some profile optimization. Donna Serdula, she'll be our keynote. Have a chance to come meet her and meet and greet. And I'm getting my book personally signed by the author there. In addition, we are about to announce our annual Ignite event, startup-based event. It's going to be Thursday, November 14th, and it's going to be at the Boca Raton Innovation Center, where it was last year. And we had Gianna from Brick last week on the show. So I think that's enough for me for now. I'm going to turn it over to Denis and let him introduce our two guests, and we'll go for it.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, everybody. Glad to be back here for another Tech Tuesdays. My name is Denis Sinelnikov from Media Components. So I run a full-service digital marketing agency here, and always great to be part of Tech Hub Tech Tuesdays. So today we have two special guests from Blue Frontier. We have Daniel and Denis. And I'm going to take a little moment to have them announce themselves and tell us a little bit about yourself and your business. So, Daniel, why don't we start with you as the CEO of Blue Frontier? Tell us what's been exciting, and tell us a little bit of an overview about your company here in the South Florida area.
Yeah, well, it's an incredible pleasure to be here in Tech Tuesdays. It's amazing. I've watched other shows, and you guys do an incredible job. This is so much fun.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm the CEO of Blue Frontier, and Blue Frontier is a air conditioning technology company, and also building decarbonization technology company. And what we do is that we have developed a completely novel way of creating air conditioning, which allows us to reduce the energy consumption of air conditioning from 50 to more than 90% compared to a conventional system. But also, these units have embedded energy storage, which allows us to, or allows our users to decide how much electricity they want to consume and when they want to consume it, without affecting when they provide air conditioning to the building. The combination of these two things allow us to decarbonize buildings. So the whole goal here is to bring down the greenhouse gas emissions associated with the built environment. Air conditioning is a critical resource for our comfort, and for our buildings to work together, to work well, and for us to work together in a comfortable space. And if you think about it, also, as the planet warms, we need more and more and more air conditioning. And so air conditioning stands as the principal instrument for resiliency. So our goal here at Blue Frontier is to make air conditioning, transform air conditioning from a problem of sustainability to a solution to sustainability through our new technology that we're bringing to market. I'm here with Denis. Maybe you can say a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Denis Quiroz, born and raised in Costa Rica, been in the U.S. for almost 25 years. I'm the head of marketing over at Blue Frontier, and it's an honor to be here because one of the challenges that we have as a startup is to educate the market and to educate people about what we do and why we're doing it. So this is a fantastic opportunity for us to do so. So thank you for having us.
Appreciate having you here.
By the way, I want to point out something. So Denis is from Costa Rica,
Mhm.
and I'm from Panama. So we're neighbors.
Yeah.
So it's a it's an incredible pleasure to be working with Denis, because Costa Rica and Panama, I don't know geographically, you know, we're neighbors, and also these are two very, very friendly countries with each other. So it's a special relationship. So it's great to have Denis, and we also have nice rivalries when it comes to soccer. So it's fun.
There you go. So you have a lot in common, and that you can work together.
absolutely.
Yeah, we always have a good time working together.
So, I was just checking out your website, learning more about your products. I understand you guys are developing the world's most efficient commercial HVAC units, to offset the carbon footprint. Since Denis, you're in the marketing and technology space, and Daniel, you're more the visionary about the company. What type of technology and what type of maybe even AI do you use within your day-to-day to create new ideas and make your products really efficient and next level?
Yeah, actually, so our product is a combination of taking advantage of a completely new physical phenomena, right? So we are so my background is that I have a PhD in mechanical engineering from the University of Florida, with particular concentration in thermal sciences.
Go Gators.
And yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
I couldn't resist.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
So what we have done is that we have changed the physical phenomena that we're using to create air conditioning, and that opens up an entire new room of opportunities for how we create air conditioning and how to do it better from an energy standpoint, and also from making people more comfortable. And I can go deeper into that technology, and maybe we do it a little bit later as we warm up here.
Mhm.
But the AI component of this is that this air conditioner has the capacity to control. We can decide when we consume electricity because it has the energy storage capabilities, but also we control humidity and temperature and ventilation inside a building with a wide range of flexibility, and that is allowed also by the physical phenomena that we're using for the air conditioner. That means that I have a lot of flexibility.
Mhm.
So where we enter with AI is optimization, right? So with AI, I can utilize the flexibility that my system provides to create comfort inside buildings in ways that you cannot even imagine with a conventional air conditioner, because I can control things that a conventional air conditioner just cannot do. The other thing is I can create greater levels of decarbonization by tying the electricity consumption of my unit to renewable energy production in the grid, or periods of lowest carbon emissions on the grid. And that, again, can be done through intelligence. The other part is air conditioners, we all know, require maintenance and need to be repaired every now and then. And so what we have done is that the same models that we have used at the beginning of the design level of our units to determine how things should be arranged, what the control system should be, those models of operation of the unit are embedded in a machine learning model inside the system that allow us to diagnose any issues that are happening in the system using an AI protocol.
Mhm.
And in doing so, the unit self-diagnoses any potential problems that it will have. It predicts what could possibly go wrong into the future, and it can then utilize its own adaptiveness to change its operation to prevent the damage from occurring into the future, making the unit self-repair and self-heal, making it such that you no longer have to be sending people or having a failure that you didn't expect, or sending people as often to provide maintenance to the system. And when you do have to provide maintenance to the systems, you know way ahead of time what's the problem. And so when you roll a truck towards our unit, the person knows exactly what they're fixing, what tools to bring, what needs to be changed. And we, on our side, because every system is digitally twinned, know that the repair actually occurred, giving a level of service that is unparalleled today in the market. And that's enabling both the combination of a new physical phenomena and putting intelligence on top of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's a self-sufficient unit. And, I'm really interested in the automation part of it, because it sounds like you have a special sensor in each specific part of the building. So the sensor can sense where the temperature needs to go up based on the specific location.
Yeah, those sensors already exist. That's the thermostat, right?
Mhm.
So what we're doing is we're taking advantage of the same sensors that you already have. Now, imagine this, right? So your comfort, the conventional air conditioner, everybody will relate to this, right? So you have your air conditioning in your building or in your house, and you control the temperature in it, right, with your thermostat. And the temperature is the only thing that you're trying to control, and the air conditioner is trying to go by an on-off operation. So it goes on, off, on, off. So the air conditioner itself doesn't have flexibility in operation, right? Only on, off. Tries to approach a temperature. Now, your comfort is determined not by temperature only, but by temperature and humidity. And your feelings inside the space are determined by the concentrations of volatile organic compounds and the air quality inside a room, right? None of those things your conventional air conditioner does anything about, right? So you're trying to control a device that is on off with a single variable, which is not determinant of your comfort. So you're going to be uncomfortable. There's nothing you can do about it. With our system, we are playing on the flexibility of controlling humidity, temperature, ventilation with great degrees of independence, and the sensor of the thermostat, but also the sensor of the air quality inside the building that we're receiving with the return air and the outside air. And we are able to learn how the building and the people in the building and what are the touches on the thermostat, how do they react to our condition changes. And we can then learn how to optimize for the user and for that building actual use case, and how that use case changes on that daily basis, on a seasonal basis, and on a yearly basis. So that is something that you cannot do with conventional air conditioning.
Makes sense. So I know you do specifically commercial, buildings, but, for the end user, like a homeowner, are you planning to branch out to residential HVAC systems?
Yes, absolutely. But in the near term, the focus, and every startup needs to decide what's their minimum viable product and their market vertical that they're going to attack first. You cannot, as they say, boil the ocean, right? But the reason we're going to commercial buildings is because commercial buildings actually have complex air conditioning requirements, because you have a large number of people and different types of use cases for the commercial building space. And so that allows us to leverage the opportunities of flexibility that we have in our unit to really create those new spaces, user system to corner more of that complexity that exists in the commercial building space. The other thing is, commercial buildings typically have multiple air conditioners in them, and every building owner owns multiple buildings. And so you end up with a market where the value of each customer is extremely high, because every customer buys, thousands of air conditioners per year. And so you get to, so that what I like to say, the lifetime value of the customer is high for Blue Frontier, getting us to volume. And when you get to volume, prices drop. You get and when prices drop, then you can get into consumer markets, like residential air conditioning and other things.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I so like to put in suggestion. Daniel was recently a speaker at TEDx Miami.
Mhm.
So I watched that video and learned a lot. I want to kind of take a step back. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but in watching the TEDx Miami video, you talked about actually how your units work at a component level.
Uh-huh.
So I'm certainly not a HVAC repairman, but we've all had the experience of needing more Freon that traditional air conditioners use. I guess two-part question. Your units do not use Freon, correct?
Yeah.
So talk a little about maybe at a lower level, the components inside your unit that allow you to achieve that 50 to 90% improvement in efficiency.
All right. So
air conditioning.
are you ready? I'm gonna nerd out here.
I'm ready.
Are
I
you
asked
ready?
the question.
I'm the one who always tell Daniel. Too deep.
Well, we only
You can
have
translate if it's necessary.
Yeah.
we only have an hour.
Okay, fine. So so the way that we create air conditioning in our unit is different than the conventional one. So let me explain how the conventional works in a most simplest way. So what a conventional air conditioner does is that it takes this refrigerant, you call it Freon. Yeah. And this refrigerant is increased in pressure and then decreased in pressure. And when a gas gets increased in pressure, it gets hot. And when a gas decreases in pressure, it gets cold, right? So that's why it's called the vapor compression cycle, right? So they use this mechanism to cool down the refrigerant, and that refrigerant absorbs heat from inside the building, cooling the building, right? So cooling the air, right? And then it takes that hot now heat that has gone into the Freon or into the refrigerant and takes it outside, and then it blows it outside with the hot refrigerant into the hot air outside, right? So you're pumping heat from inside the building to the hot outside. So you're going against the current, right? The hotter it is outside, the more difficult that is. So more electricity is required for you to go against the grain, which is, you're going from hot inside to even hotter outside. It's difficult to do that. Okay. And you're only controlling temperature at this point, right? What Blue Frontier does is that it uses something that is called a liquid desiccant. Okay, so now don't get scared. So
Sounds fancy.
yeah, no, it's not expensive. That's just super. It's literally dirt cheap. But liquid
It's
desiccant
effectively salt
because
and water,
it's a salt.
right?
It's a salt solution.
It's a salt
So
solution.
the reason we call it a liquid desiccant is because it's us scientists being
You just got to call it
yeah,
salt.
it's a
liquid
salt solution. Yeah,
It's a salty solution, basically.
but a desiccant is something that absorbs humidity right out of the air, and this turns to be a liquid one. So salt solution is a liquid desiccant, so that's what we use. So the salt solution, and it's a specialized salt solution.
Okay,
we do special things to it, but this liquid desiccant or this salt solution will absorb humidity right out of the air. So we have this special heat exchanger where we bring air that we're gonna, we want to create air conditioning from or create air conditioning with, and we bring this air that is hot and humid, and when it touches this liquid desiccant, the salt solution absorbs the humidity right out of the air, and you end up with dry air inside our heat exchanger, and that dry air can now be used to create evaporative cooling. But we don't want to add water back into the air in this evaporative cooling. And evaporative cooling, for those that don't know, is when you add water into dry air. If you've ever been in a desert environment, the air drops in temperature, right? So, but we could do that right there, but you don't want to add humidity into the air. So what we do is we take around 20% of this dry air, 20 to 30%, depending on how you're controlling the unit, and you pass it through alternative channels inside the heat exchanger. And there's where we will add the water. And when that air that is dry touches that water, it evaporates the water, brings down the temperature of the entire heat exchanger, cooling down the bulk air, that's 70% of the air that is going to go into the building. So now you have low humidity, low temperature air, and you did it using a salt solution. Now, That's
So
also,
let me
yeah,
let
go
me
ahead.
ask you a question. So one of the other unique things about your technology, and this is my way my brain works, traditional air conditioners just lower the temperature. Your new solution not only lowers the temperature but reduces the humidity.
Yeah,
Correct?
first the
Exactly,
humidity.
So
exactly.
it's 2 in 1.
Mm.
It's 2 in 1. So it's a dehumidifying air conditioning, directly humidifying air conditioning. And you can actually control based on the flow rate of the liquid desiccant and the amount of this, what I call the wraparound air, that 20% air or 20%, the ratio of temperature and humidity that you're doing in the system, right? But so you get this super comfort. And all you needed was water and the salt solution to do this work. So water evaporation requires zero electricity, right? So there, you saved all the energy associated with temperature reduction in my unit. So that energy consumption of my unit is associated with bringing back the liquid desiccant, the salt solution, now that it's laden with water, evaporating that water so that I can use it again to continuously provide cooling, right? To provide this dehumidification process. Guess what? That's a heat-driven process. So what I do with this liquid desiccant, this salt solution, is that I increase its temperature. Doesn't have to be by that much, and it changes from absorbing water from the atmosphere to giving its water off to the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So in my unit, this is a heat-driven process, and we use a small heat pump to drive that process. But it's helped by the heat of the atmosphere. So the hotter it is outside, the less energy it requires to do its job. So it's
Wow.
exactly the opposite of a conventional air conditioner from that standpoint. And it requires much less energy because I got the energy for temperature reduction did not require me to consume energy or electricity to do so. Right. So this combination of those two factors create this enormous energy savings compared to a conventional system.
Based on what you just described, that's how you achieve the 50 to 90% reduction in energy use. Correct?
Exactly.
Right.
Now,
Exactly.
is your company on the market? Is it the only company that uses this, proprietary
Yes.
technology and formula based
Well,
on your PhD experience? Or is it like trademarked and
No, it's patented.
patented?
Yeah, yeah. We have now. I think we're about to cross 25 patents.
Okay, okay, that's great.
So it's completely covered
it.
technology.
So to follow on Dennis's question, great question. I was going to kind of ask the same thing. Would it be fair to say that a large part of your IP is the liquid desiccant?
No, it's the entire thing. So
entire
we
system.
Process is what
Okay.
it is,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. So from how you regenerate or reconcentrate the liquid desiccant, to how you control it, to the mechanical design of the heat exchanger, to the system, to the controls, to the AI, the entire thing is covered in intellectual property that is fundamental to us, including some of the aspects associated with liquid desiccant, conveyance of fluids. It is a super well protected technology, and we are the only ones in the world that can use it.
So if a building wants to go green and wants to offset the carbon footprint, just for the audience and the listeners, how many days or months does it have to run to offset certain amount of carbon? Do you
So
have that formula?
with our unit,
Mm-hmm.
you can completely eliminate the carbon associated with air conditioning in your building, right? Because you can shift your load such that it only runs on renewable energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key. So as you look into the future, what's happening is that the fastest growing production of electricity around the world is renewable energy, right? And that's driven because we want to decarbonize, but also because we have, as scientists, become super innovative and we have driven out the cost of renewable energy out so much
Mm-hmm.
that right now the cheapest way to produce electricity is with renewable energy. So wind and solar are cheaper than natural gas, coal, and any other form of power production in the world, right?
That's great.
That's fantastic. Except there's a problem. It only runs when the renewable resource is available, the sun and wind. So alongside renewable energy generation, we need to put either peaking plants that cover the points when renewable energy is no longer available or it's waning, or you need to put a lot of batteries if you want to maintain yourself decarbonized. And by the way, there's a hurricane barreling in. we've got to decarbonize, right? So we are living the consequences of ignoring
Yeah.
the increasing greenhouse gas problem.
So the global warming is real. Is that what you're saying?
It's
Yep.
Very
it's
real.
so real, and we're living it every year. Do you know 2023 was the hottest year ever recorded
Yes.
in 100,000 years, by the way? And 2024, every month has been hotter than in 2023. We are on unprecedented times, right? So we got to do this. And the good thing is that the economics are in our favor, right? So renewable energy is less expensive than any other, except for the batteries. So we need to put a lot of energy storage capabilities on the grid to be able to stay outside of using fossil fuels.
Mm-hmm.
And the rate of deployment of these batteries is so high that it puts at risk our capacity to decarbonize at the speed that we need. Guess what's driving battery requirements? Air conditioning. So every summer when it gets really hot, people come in and they're like, oh, record heat, and the grid may fail, right? We will have rolling blackouts because of record heat. What is happening is that the grid is not able to keep up with air conditioning. Air conditioning sets the largest load on the grid, and it sets it at the times when renewable energy is waning.
Mm-hmm.
And so the batteries and the peaking plants and all this other infrastructure that you need to put around renewable energy is in great part associated with covering air conditioning. So if you can make air conditioning, like with our unit, not be a participant of the peak, and in fact shift it such that it only consumes renewable energy when it's available, you eliminate the need for batteries, opening up the opportunity for air conditioning to become part of the utility infrastructure and resiliency infrastructures of our cities. And that's the bet that Blue Frontier has. It's not just an energy saving technology, it's a true infrastructure for decarbonization technology for us as building owners and inhabitants of buildings, but also for our grid partners.
I want to shift gears a little, and Danielle and Daniel and I were talking about this earlier. So clearly, this is a disruptive technology. It's a new technology. It's an amazing technology. But given human nature, given the way businesses work, sometimes when you have a disruptive technology and you're a change agent, there is an issue with what are we going to do with the existing infrastructure, the existing units. So it's somewhat of an emotional, psychological marketing. And
Absolutely, that's one of the marketing
Yeah.
challenges that we have as a company. It's
this is the question for you. So oftentimes it's not necessarily a purely technical question. It's a marketing mind share equity. How do you try to achieve that? It's a tough job, as you alluded to. So how do you try to brand your messenger brand to help overcome the human nature resisting change?
absolutely. So the first thing that as a startup, as new breaking technology, what you have to do is educate, and this is why we do this a lot. We everywhere we go, we try to educate not just the average person, but also engineers and people in the industry. Every show we've been to, people come by our booth, and at first, especially engineers in the HVAC, they looked at it like, yeah, right. And then the more they talk to us, they realize, okay, this does work. Tell me more. And the deeper they go, they realize this works. And it's exciting when you see that, because then you're doing the right thing. You're bypassing the challenge of educating not just the average person, but also educating the industry on that. The other challenge is making sure that we add the value of our units into the market. So by doing that, that's what then we'll be talking about doing pilots and all that. Is reiterating that this technology works. It's not just an idea, but this is something that is happening. We have the units now, and they're being validated as well.
And something that Denis and I discuss a lot is this issue of the new value that we bring versus the intrinsic value of the existing technology, and how we enter the market that is accustomed to what's existing, right? And also, how do we entice partners that in the air conditioning and the built environment space, to join us in this disruption.
Right.
And that's really difficult because everything that we have depends on the status quo, right? Like everything that we have, every business that exists that is doing well because things are how they are. And innovation is disruption to how things are, to the status quo. So when we like to say, like, we're creating a revolution in air conditioning, we're rethinking air, that's amazing because we are solving a huge problem. But this problem that we're trying to solve is not impeding the conventional technology from being sold at extraordinary volumes. I mean, air conditioning is one of the fastest growing appliance markets in the world. Air conditioning is the fastest growing use of electricity in buildings around the world and in the United States. Like, just think about that. So that means people are making an enormous amount of money, right? Why would you forgo that?
Right.
And the way that you have to position yourself is, we solve a problem that is impending and will and that your customers are asking you, are clamoring to be able to solve. People, every large building owner that I have ever talked to wants to operate with less energy consumption, is concerned about decarbonizing their buildings, is concerned about indoor air quality, and their customers and their workers. They are concerned about the regulatory risk associated with energy efficiency. They're concerned about resiliency in the facing increasing temperatures. Those are the same customers that of the conventional air conditioning markets, and the conventional air conditioning providers don't the conventional air conditioning. I don't know if people can hear it. We just had a little alarm. Okay. So
Fire drill.
We're live.
yeah, we're live. It's
If
fine.
you
It's fine.
start smelling some smoke,
Yeah.
we're running out.
So but they they perceive these problems from their customers, and they are and so we not only bring a solution to the existing air conditioning or to these problems to their customers, but you have to do it in a way that demonstrates that that you must join us, because we're not just an opportunity to do new business, but we are truly a threat to the existing business models.
Right.
So overwhelming value and demonstration of overwhelming value is critical to the disruptive market, to enter into a disruptive market.
So, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask a follow-on question. Again, we were talking about this earlier. And you used the right word, a threat. There are very large, multi-billion-dollar companies in this business. Unfortunately, you might be perceived as a threat to some of the existing infrastructure and status quo. Talk a little about, as a startup, how you engage the existing large players and have that conversation with them. Address the both of you.
Carefully.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
It is.
So yeah, so we don't want to necessarily. It would be wasteful to reinvent the entire air conditioning market. Most of it works. So what we need to do is, what we're playing at is changing the aspects of the market that are enabled by our technology, and that enable for that deep decarbonization of buildings that we're interested in achieving, while at the same time making air conditioning widely accessible. So one example of that, because our unit has dramatic energy savings, meaning a drop in the electric bill, substantial drop in the electric bill, but it also has energy storage. This is an air condition, like a high efficiency air conditioning that is acting like a behind the meter battery, right? Now, I don't know many building owners.
You would have to explain that.
Yeah. Okay. So what is a behind the meter? Yeah.
You just said something, and I didn't really appreciate the fact. Talk a little about the storage functionality that you just alluded to.
Yeah.
The energy storage functionality.
So just in South Florida, right? In order for us to decarbonize, the estimate is that we're going to have to put in like 5 gigawatts of battery capacity, right? Of new infrastructure in our grid, right? That means obtaining land, putting in new transmission and distribution lines, and that's necessary in order to cover a large portion of the necessity is to cover some of the biggest loads, and our biggest load is air conditioning, right? So um, that's someone has to pay for that. And guess who pays for that? It's the ratepayers. Like, we are already paying for that. In our rates, there is an amount that is going towards maintaining and putting in the new infrastructure that is required for us to have resilient, reliable, decarbonized grids. And in fact, the decarbonization of the grid could lead to a reduction in overall energy prices for us, as long as the other infrastructure that goes into it doesn't balloon, right? And there's risk associated with that, like interest rates, land ownership, acquisition, not in my backyard, delays, all that stuff, right? So it is easier for a utility, or those that support utilities, to put air conditioners in people's roofs in commercial buildings than to put batteries, right? Because you need an air conditioning already. You don't wake up in the morning and you're like, my building really needs a battery. No one does that because you haven't bought a battery in the past, but you definitely need an air conditioner.
Right.
So you can use Blue Frontier as a way to create decarbonization and energy storage and load flexibility in buildings, reducing the cost of the infrastructure on the grid. And that has value. In fact, you can get paid for that, right? Because now your air conditioner is battery. So if Blue Frontier becomes a utility managed asset, you can get the majority of the capital cost of the unit paid for by an external party that is interested and gets the benefit associated with that flexibility in the load, which reduces their own infrastructure cost and risk of money. Now, imagine what is happening here. Let's say our friends from FPL they're trying to think about, how do I put all these batteries, etc., right? And let's say that they are successful at it. Let's say we're 10 years into the future, they're successful. The average person in South Florida will be happy that we've decarbonized the grid, but in reality, their daily lives hasn't changed. They haven't noticed. But what happens if instead they're providing people with air conditioning, or we're providing people with air conditioning at zero upfront cost, that is super efficient, and the capital cost of that unit now is perceived to be basically zero by the building owners? There is no way that a conventional air conditioner can compete with that. But we would have given people the capacity to survive the hottest temperatures, have resilient air conditioning, have a resilient grid, and decarbonize all at the same time.
I'm going to interrupt you. We have a caller.
Right.
Is it me?
No, I think we need to. Oh, Cindy's calling. We need to accept the call.
Hello, Cindy.
Let's try again. She might.
We're
She's gonna call
little
back.
technical difficulties. We
Okay.
Oh.
Cindy, give us a call again. We had a fire drill.
we're still having a fire drill. Apologies for that.
Oh no, we'll start that. Yeah. So
just
Daniel,
to follow up to your question on the strategy, that's precisely so. That's what we're trying to do. From what you hear from Daniel, is where we want to make sure that you say yes. We're going to make it easy for you to say yes. So we need to try to eliminate every single reason why you would say no to this. And as you can hear from every angle, we're trying to cover that basis.
So we have a lot of listeners. So we have some commercial building owners that are interested in the technology. You mentioned you're interested in doing pilots. We have someone out there that's interested in contacting Blue Frontier to start a pilot. Would you be the right initial contact?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So hold on one second.
Back.
We have a caller. Hey, Cindy, welcome to the show.
Hello. How are you guys?
How are you doing?
Thanks for calling in. We have Blue Frontier on the Tech Tuesdays.
I know. I was listening to them. So I was very interested because I've worked in HVAC for over 20 years. And I had Ream was my client, Ream Manufacturing and Gem Air Distributors, and I've worked on the B2B and the B2C side. So my question is, if I were a contractor, how would you persuade me the value proposition for your, for a contractor? Because again, they're old school, right? They think the way they think, they have their pain points for many, many years. It's a very generational business.
Yes.
So I'm just curious,
So from
how would you, yeah.
Yeah, so so glad you called and asked this question. So the contract. So we are actually partnering with contractors in the AC business, commercial AC business, and they have a pretty nice incentive to do this. One is, of course, we're selling through contractors and traditional channel partnerships, which means that there is an opportunity to make a commission on the sale of these units, which is exciting. But moreover, once the Blue Frontier air conditioner is going to create enormous savings on commercial buildings, right? From an energy saving standpoint, and it's also going to improve indoor air quality. So anytime you've gone to a restaurant and you see sort of like you have your drink, right, and you see that the table is getting wet,
The windows are dripping.
right, the window is dripping, you see the vents and they have this dust layer around it. That's humidity destroying your building and making everything look sticky and uncomfortable. We can eliminate this, right? So not only are you going to get a better overall air conditioner, something that you cannot do with conventional air conditioners easily, but you're going to do it while reducing the energy consumption of comparable to the other air conditioner from 50 to 90%. And guess what? That turns out to be a payback period of less than 3 years, which means that these are IRRs, returns on investments, that are above 30%. So it's a complete financial no-brainer to use a Blue Frontier AC from your customer's perspective, just on financial terms. But let's say that they are they're concerned, they're saying, well, yeah, but then I have to finance it, these units, right? So even though it's 30%, I have uncertainty here. I need to finance this thing. I don't know. We are developing financing partnerships that come in and say like, hey, I understand that you are capital cost conscious. We can come in and do the air conditioning as a service. We guarantee its operation, and therefore you don't have to worry about whether it works or not. It will have zero finance cost to you. It doesn't hit your capex, so you don't have to put it in your balance sheet and depreciate it. Like, these are the things that we can do that make it such that the conventional organizer cannot compete. The other thing is, there is a patchwork of regulation across the United States. Every place has their own energy efficiency mandates and requirements.
Right, standards, right.
Standards. And
Mhm.
so we overcome every standard, right? For indoor air quality, we surpass it from indoor air quality and energy efficiency, reducing the overall cost of the project, because now you don't need to like do a complete roof change out in order to be able to meet minimum energy efficiency requirements for your buildings, because your air conditioner is now consuming so much less energy. So it opens up new opportunities for doing projects at a lower cost than with conventional systems. Now, contractors, when you walk into that building and you pitch Blue Frontier, you're gonna pitch something new that only you can pitch, right? So now you've got the ear. You're not just trading in commodities. But once you walk into that door and you talk about super energy efficiency, et cetera, and you get into the roof, you know that you will find ductwork problems. You're going to find intelligent thermostat problems, building management system problems, air conditioning systems that are older. And once you identify those, you get to change those out also with financing behind it and a positive return on investment for the client. And you are the only one that can do that. So yes, you want to partner with me.
And you can get a maintenance plan, so it's like long term.
You get the maintenance plan. You get to steal the operation and maintenance plan from the other person that was there, because now you can get that. And we will support we will train you and certify you on Blue Frontier systems, so that you are the only ones in a regional area that can actually do the work for us.
So
So are you working with LED, like LEED certified buildings? Is that what your niche is? And then the second
No, so
question.
we don't depend on LEED, but LEED is an early market adopter. Yes.
And then the other question was, so what are the SEER levels in comparison to the, the traditional air conditioning units that have, some of them 18 SEER now? And
Yeah, we are in the 30s.
that's great. Awesome.
Yeah, so it's like unheard of.
Yes.
So Cindy, I know what LEED, not LED, but LEED organization is.
LEED certified,
Yeah.
yeah.
You might want to say a few sentences on what that organization is. Or
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah, do you guys want to share it? Because
Yeah.
I just had a couple clients that had LEED certified buildings, and so I know the process, and it's a very stringent process to go
Absolutely.
through. And yeah,
So
I'll let you guys
LEED is
do it.
leadership in energy efficiency design, and it means that your building meets minimum requirements, and you can get different levels of classification from silver to gold to platinum, and the based on the level of the sustainability of the building, both on an energy standpoint and materials used and carbon, local materials, level of innovation that you've put into the buildings. So the implementation of Blue Frontier systems could actually help a lead designer to go from like a silver to a gold, or from a gold to a platinum, because it opens up an efficiency play plus an innovation play, which gives you points in the lead certification process. So that anybody that out there,
LEED, not
yeah.
LED, but
LEED, the
LEED.
lead certification. Anybody out there that is having trouble or would like to augment or reapply, so that they can push themselves across to a higher level of certification, we should talk, because we might be able to just nudge you over to having a higher certification, which actually has direct relationship to the value of your building and the working space that you can provide.
Cindy, very great questions. You as the PR amplifier in the PR industry, can you give us a couple of pointers for Blue Frontiers, based on your HVAC experience, where they should be amplifying their message and their startup?
Well, to me, just like I only listened to a little bit before I got on, but I was just thinking of like strategic alliances. I think that it is a new product or service, that you're presenting, and it sounds like it's kind of a no-brainer. But in the commercial HVAC, I know that the lead times can be lengthy. It's not like a decision you talk to one person and they're sold. It's like
Absolutely.
you have a group of people that have to make the decision, and sometimes it's a bureaucracy. So to me, I think strategic alliances like builders, contractors, HVAC contractors, software companies. I mean, when I worked with Ream, we had preferred strategic partners that were approved, and those types of partnerships I think would be very beneficial because it's can help you get your foot in the door. So
Absolutely. 100%, and we're developing those partnerships right now. By the way, Cindy, thank you. And the we should talk. We should connect definitely,
so
because you might give us insight into blind spots that we have, about the partnerships, especially here in the Florida region. So reach out definitely. And
so I'm going to interrupt you. We've got 30 seconds. I'm going to put Cindy on the spot. I want you to, if you don't already have a relationship with the CEO of Ream, Cindy, I want you to call the CEO of Ream and set up a call with Danielle.
okay, that's a pretty high ask, Jeffrey.
Well, you've got till 5 o'clock today.
I could make a lot of introductions.
You've got 15 seconds left.
Thank you so much,
like 3
Cindy,
before
Okay, thank you.
for
I look
calling
forward
in.
to continuing the conversation.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Take care.
Cindy.
Thanks for calling in,
Bye,
Cindy.
guys. Bye.
Daniel, I have a quick question.
Well,
Cindy, do you want to jump in?
no, go ahead.
Jeffrey?
I am going to. We were on this topic. Someone wants to follow up. The CEO of Ream wants to set up a call. Why don't you go ahead and spell the URL of your website so people
Absolutely.
can look it up. Spell
Oh.
your name so people can connect with you on the Owwll app or on LinkedIn.
Sure. Our website is www.bluefrontier, BLUE, Frontier, FRONTIER, AC.com.
Yeah.
And you-
BlueFrontierAC.com.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
got to
best
add the
part.
AC. I made that mistake.
AC.com.
Okay.
And you can find us the same way on LinkedIn. And Daniel and I, we're highly
You're-
approachable. My name spells D as in David, I and as in Nancy, IER. That's Dinier. And my last name is Quiros, QUIROS. And I'm the head of marketing here at Blue Frontier.
Right. So we talked about this a little earlier. I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to reach out to both of you on the Owwll app as well as LinkedIn and through your website. Have you thought about, are you going to have office hours on Owwll or make yourself unavailable on demand? Have you given any thought to that?
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna try it. That sounds really
Absolutely.
fun. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Go ahead, Dennis. I wanted to
just-
get that
I
in.
had a
before-
quick follow-up question. Florida in itself is a very health-conscious state, and while I was listening to Daniel talk about the efficiency, what I was going to ask is, as far as like the filters or the IQ, like with COVID behind us, does your unit clean up the air and recycle the air? Because I know that's air quality is a really
HEPA,
important point.
HEPA, right?
What kind of technology do you have as
Yeah.
far as that?
So absolutely. So the first product, in fact, is directly related to that. So we are focused initially on what is called a dedicated outdoor air system.
Mhm.
So the issue is you need to bring ventilation into your building, into your commercial building, in order to maintain. And these are standards. Like you must have 30% ventilation inside your building, and the majority of air conditioners are really bad at dealing with outdoor air, both for the efficiency issue, but also from the humidity issue. So when in South Florida you say, hey, ventilation, you're bringing a river of water, that this moisture laden air, into your building all the time. And so Blue Frontier allows you to have that ventilation while at the same time reducing energy consumption and cleaning up the air. We have the filters, but also the liquid desiccant itself is antimicrobial and antiseptic. So any air that comes into contact with a liquid desiccant stream, and this is just the nature of desiccating technology, will die, right? So you not only have the filters for PM 2.5 particles,
typical
etc.,
filters.
typical filters, but you have an extra barrier in our unit, in that the air that we touch passes through basically an antiseptic filter, which is the liquid desiccant itself.
So that's your patented technology as well?
That's also patented technology. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that kind of answers my question.
Yeah. So one of my favorite early applications. So we have a lot of customers, and most of them, because they're large corporates, they like to stay quiet. But we just had a press release that we did with the Southern Company, which is a big utility, and with them we're working with the Waffle House, who is an early adopter.
A lot of Waffle Houses out there.
Lots of Waffle Houses.
Open
Again,
24/7, 365. Needs a lot of air conditioning.
a lot of air
Right.
conditioning. Right. They're running
They never close.
air conditioning 24 hours a day. So that's one of their biggest costs. Okay. We put in our air conditioning unit at a Waffle House in Georgia. And when we did that, the people, and we turned on our unit, the workers inside the Waffle House could tell that we had turned on our unit. Typically, they're not concerned. There's construction going on outside. Who cares? They're working. People are coming in. When our unit turned on, they noticed. What happened was that the smells, the indoor air quality suddenly changed inside the building, right? The humidity went away. So a feeling of cleanliness invaded the entire space. And everybody started being comfortable, because in low humidity environments, your body is able to regulate temperature more effectively, meaning you can be in a low humidity environment at a one temperature or another temperature and you're still comfortable. But if you're in a high humidity environment, almost doesn't matter what temperature you're at, you're going to be uncomfortable. So in doing so, everybody, the evenness of perception of comfort became across the entire restaurant. Humidity went away, indoor air quality improved, odors went away. Like suddenly the place became from a diner feeling, a great place to eat, but a diner to a premium work area and dining area.
Changes the whole experience.
Changes the whole experience.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's a great testimonial.
Shifting gears. So I spent a long time in the IT space, and one of the holy grails of IT, and you alluded to this, but I'm not sure people caught it, moving from a CapEx expense, very large expense, to an OpEx operating expense. A lot of companies wanted to do that for IT-based solutions. There are tax advantages and all kind of advantages in moving from CapEx to OpEx. Are you saying that you're basically, it's air conditioning as a service, as an OpEx versus a CapEx?
Absolutely.
Do you have that available today? You're working on that?
We're developing pilots exactly around that right now. So if you want to play with that, talk to us. Definitely.
Right.
We're doing pilots of that into 2025, signing up people for what we're calling HVAC as a service.
And HVAC as a service.
Yeah.
HAAS.
Yeah.
HVAC as a service.
Exactly. And here is the thing that we're trying to break. Most commercial buildings are tenant occupied. Building owner buys the equipment, tenant pays the electric bill, right? If the air conditioning fails while you're a tenant, depending on your lease, you're responsible for changing out that air conditioner, right? Or you have to convince your landlord to change out an air conditioner for an equivalent high efficiency or equivalent system, right? So there's uncertainty associated with that. And there are requirements on the tenant for maintaining existing equipment in the building,
Right.
including air conditioners that could be old. So the air conditioner actually is one of the biggest points of negotiation in any lease agreement and creates enormous friction between the landlord and the tenant. Okay, Blue Frontier inserts itself into this conversation and says, hey, building owner, guess what? I'll give you the air conditioner. It's as a service. You don't have to pay the CapEx associated with it. They're super happy. Now they got super efficient air conditioner, can certify their building high efficiency and LEED, etc., which increases the value of their space. People are, and when the tenant shows up, they're getting a very low electric bill. The service fee associated with Blue Frontier operation is the operation and maintenance associated with the unit, which you were paying for already. The value of the energy savings that we're creating, which you were going to pay for it anyway. Plus, we have a small recovery on the capital cost for us of the initial unit, but it's at zero cost, zero CapEx. So it's a win-win-win across the board.
It's almost a no-brainer.
That's what I was saying earlier.
It's a complete no-brainer.
But it is a change.
Correct.
It is new, but it really is a no-brainer. And that's the IT
You
conversation
gotta add that
we
to
used to
the
have.
indoor air quality at the end.
Right.
It benefits them as well. So
The other
Absolutely.
thing, and we used to sell this, and I believe it's true. So for a building owner or a data center owner, it's a budgeted amount that you spend every month. You don't have very large unplanned CapEx expenses.
Exactly.
You can budget it out. I'll spend X amount of dollars every month for the next X number of years.
Yeah, and it's
you're
known,
budgeted and it's
guaranteed, it's fixed, it's ready to go. And you
So
know,
when your compressor goes or whatever the equivalent is, it's covered.
but it's even more interesting than that.
Okay.
Right. So with new technology.
Okay. I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Terry, you there? And when your compressor goes or whatever the equivalent is, it's
Hey,
covered.
Terry, thanks for calling into Tech Tuesdays. How are you?
Okay.
Good, how are you?
So with new
Thanks
technology.
do you have any question for our guest?
Gary?
Yes, how are you?
Hi, Terry.
Gary, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you turn your computer down because we're getting a little feedback?
Good. Hello, Daniel.
Yeah, I hear you. Hi, Terry.
Yes, absolutely. I'm curious. I know Daniel and the crew very well, and one of the topics I think that is interesting to discuss is when you're in a commercial space and there are a lot of operating equipment which is generating heat, whether it's a data center, whether it's industrial equipment. Um, what does Blue Frontier do to evaluate those type of stresses that are on a building, and how do they reflect that outbound so that a client can really see that there's a lot of energy being exerted here that's causing disruption in the entire space, not just on the floor, but in the building as a whole.
That's a fantastic question. So our first engagement with and this is nice setup. Thank you. So the first thing that we do is when we engage with anyone is that we show them the level of energy savings. So we have developed building models that we've developed together with the Department of Energy and the National Renewable Energy Labs that we have then applied to evaluate the impact of our technology into your building and what level of energy savings, the economic levels of energy savings that we can provide. But in buildings that have peripheral equipment that is generating heat or have waste heat applications, what we do is that we can take that waste heat stream and use it to further reduce the energy consumption of our unit. Remember, Blue Frontier system ultimately is using heat to recharge this liquid desiccant, right? So when heat is not available, we use electricity for that using this heat pump. But when heat is available, either from the environment or from processes that you have inside your building, we can utilize that to further reduce the electricity consumption of our unit and eliminate and provide air conditioning. So air conditioning as a byproduct of waste heat dissipation in your building. Now, if you have a refrigeration cycle, like in a supermarket, your condensers are producing waste heat. If you're a data center, your cooling process is producing waste heat, right? We can grab that waste heat, transform it into air conditioning, bring it back into the building, further creating enormous reductions in energy consumption, way above the estimates that we had talked about earlier.
So here's a random thought. In my current role, I talk to a lot of new IT software companies. Most people might not know this, but with the advent of AI, it takes tremendous amount of computing power. All this fancy AI stuff you see, tremendous amount of data centers.
Bitcoin and all the farming.
Yeah,
everything,
Bitcoin as well. So a lot of companies have reached out to me working for Tech Hub saying, hey, we're going to be building new data centers here in South Florida, given the demand for AI. So my to-do is I had never really thought about the connection with data centers. I'm going to connect them with you.
Absolutely.
Because they're building net new facilities. So why install traditional, less efficient air conditioning units?
Now,
so every IT company
I
out
love that. So so if you have waste heat, we'll use it. Data centers are a really interesting case. So it is estimated that data centers, trying to remember the exact, but it's
a lot.
Look this up, guys. Look this up. But it's around 5% of global electricity consumption is estimated to go into data centers in the next like 10 years or so, and
growing.
It's exploding, and it's because of the AI revolution. South Florida could be an incredible hub for data centers, but it's not, right? So people are in the process of developing data centers down here, but it's not the mecca of data centers.
Right.
Why?
Because it's too hot.
It's too freaking hot. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So the data center application is becoming geographically bound by the cost of electricity, the capacity of decarbonizing that electricity, and the heat, the heat that you have in those places. And so it is from 40 to 60% of the energy, that electricity that goes into a data center is not going towards computation, is going towards cooling the building. So we can use the waste heat to create the cooling in the same data center, right? We have technology that enables that level of integration, potentially eliminating a substantial amount of the energy consumption of data centers, but even more importantly, eliminating the geographic islanding of data centers into regions where it's mild weather. And this is really important from a geopolitical standpoint. The places where people live is not the places where those data centers are being placed, right? But that's the fiber optic cables of the world go to where people live. So where do you want to put your data center? It's actually in Singapore, Miami, Panama, Sao Paulo, Rio. You want to put it in places where the population of the world is increasing, Hong Kong. But it's too expensive to do it because of the heat. So we have a solution for that.
Right. Terry, did we answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'd like to make another comment
Sure.
about the question about the contractors. Daniel knows I once owned a division of a major HVAC company I acquired. And one of the key drivers in doing that was the legacy mindset, right? And how do you reinvent the wheel? I would encourage contractors in general that today, like architectural firms, that this innovation and this drive for new technologies is much stronger than John, the mechanical contractor, and that the successes inside of those business units that are trying to shine and separate themselves from their competitors are going to be the ones that are going to engage, you know, at every level of new technology with Blue Frontier. So nothing's easy, but definitely the technology will strengthen a contractor, not weaken a contractor's resolve and longevity with their existing client base. So that was my last 2 cents.
Thank you, Terry.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
We've
Thank
got a couple of minutes. We've not met, Terry. What do you do? What is your day job?
I'm a CEO and board advisor, so I help second stage companies grow and accelerate in a multitude of industries globally. I'm based here in Fort Lauderdale, and I have partners throughout the U.S.
Yeah, and he's an extremely insightful person, and is becoming very fast one of my best friends.
So love to talk to you, Terry, about potentially. My day job is director of membership at Tech Hub. Love to talk to you about potentially joining. I think you'd be a great fit. This whole
Absolutely, and like Daniel, and I'm a firm believer in Daniel's technology. I think that especially in the Tech Hub world,
Yep.
you definitely have a space.
Yep. We've not really. I'm glad we had this conversation today because we hadn't really talked about the data center IT connection.
Yeah.
I really think we're on something there.
Yeah. So it is a technology that we have, and we are the issue with data centers is that these are massive, right? So and this is just general speak now about like how do you strategize around developing a startup. You want to make your first product be the highest value, lowest divisible unit that you can produce, right? Meaning you want to be able to prototype and deploy products inexpensively, right? And go through volume quickly. In the data center space, they will benefit from the technology that we have.
Terry, I'm going to end the call. Thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you very much. Great show. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Terry.
We'll talk again soon.
Yeah. So in the data center space, we're creating the partnerships to be able to create large scale systems that are of the size for that market. But we are initially going to this commercial building space, the dedicated outdoor air system. You have to pick a lane, right, initially. But the technology is not bound by what we're doing from a commercial building standpoint. And we are working to create partnerships, and this is where licensing models and other structures could come into play for creation of a partnerships that can attack much bigger and more complex markets that are also evolving and that need our help.
One of the questions that's been brought up in the past when we go and speak at different conferences on trade shows is, do you have to continue adding liquid desiccant to the units? And to reiterate on that point, we don't, because we regenerate the liquid desiccant that is now diluted, and it goes back in, and then the process starts again and again and again. So you don't have to do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So your consumable operating costs are low as well.
Correct.
Yeah, super low. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the show. We're running out of time.
So I'll let you go. Well,
wait, are you saying an hour passed
already?
Yes.
Wow.
I think it's been great. So let me thank both of you for coming today. I think it's been fascinating. I've enjoyed it. Why don't we go round the horn, and then I'll close the show. Any last thoughts, parting thoughts, anything you want to mention that we didn't mention?
No, mainly just please reach out, and if you have any further questions, I will be happy to. This is what we do day to day, is just educate the market as to why we're doing what we're doing and why we're so passionate about it, and we look forward to that conversation.
Yeah, I want to end with just a thought. The hurricane that's coming, it's an example of things that are coming that are even bigger than this. The world is warming. There's a baked in amount that it's already warm. Everything in the infrastructure space is going to have to change. The solutions that we develop today are going to become extremely important, have already become extremely important. And those that embrace innovation today are future-proofing their businesses, their buildings, and also the business opportunities that you jump on today are basically associated with the new revolution, the new industrial revolution, sustainable industrial revolution that is happening around us, right? So the things that, like how we light our buildings, 20 years ago, LEDs were interesting. Now they're everywhere. Solar panels and wind turbines, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, they were interesting and they were expensive, etc. Now they're the largest form of production of energy, the fastest growing form of production of energy in the world. Like the billionaires of the future are being developed today. The $1 billion opportunities that are being developed of the future are being developed today, and we're lucky to be part of this scene. But there is enormous opportunity. So run to clean tech. There's enormous opportunity to provide value.
Are you guys hiring for jobs?
Yes, we are.
We normally,
yeah.
Okay, awesome. So
it's also on our
anybody's
website and the
interested in a
career
career opportunity, check out Blue Frontier.
I'm sure you have a need for a lot of engineers, among other roles.
We actually, the entire spectrum, we're growing fast. Yeah.
Okay. Denis, any closing thoughts?
No, I appreciate you being on the show. And, just a quick question as far as the South Florida Tech Hub, how are you guys utilizing it and transform your messaging and partnerships?
I'll let Denis.
Well, this is a fantastic opportunity to reach the community as well. Something that Daniel and I always talk about is we don't want to just be this company that sounds cute, but we're like unreachable. This is a way for us to reach the community and this part of the community, the tech community is very important for us because this is what we're part of. We like to say we're not a box company. We don't sell just boxes. We're a tech company, and this is what we're developing, and this is why this is a fantastic opportunity for us as a company.
Great. Yeah, and the work of that. So I'm a big believer in the work that you guys are doing. We need to create an ecosystem and an economy of innovation in our area. That's the only way to truly have long-term growth, economic and social growth, is by having a culture of innovation. We got to be at the forefront of things, not become just passive receivers of other people's technology and staying just a beach place, right?
Exactly.
I'm a firm believer that you are transformational for our community in the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Denis. That was going to be my parting question. So I'm going to wrap it up. I think we could have gone another hour. I think we have to do this again. So thank you to Blue Frontier. Thank you to Denis. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Al. Have a great day. and we'll be back next week.
See you
Thank
next
you.
week.
Thank you,
Take
everyone.
care.
Awesome. Thank you guys, everyone. Bye.